I get eager staring at a dozen high-end laptops on the screen, trying not to throw a few $100s away on something that sounds impressive but ends up just gathering dust. You've probably already read a handful of hype-filled specs sheets, seen a few flashy YouTubers brag about ultra-fast machines, and you're left wondering whether this particular model will actually fit into your gammon-gandwork routine without turning your desk into a sauna. That hesitation is real, and it's exactly why I'm digging into the Asus Zenbook S14 Copilot Plus today. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's walk through what it actually feels like when you put it to the test, where it shines, and where it might leave you reaching for a different solution. First off, the Zenbook S14 is positioned as a sleek, 14-inch powerhouse that tries to bridge the gap between portable productivity and the kind of sustained graphics performance you'd normally only see in bulkier gaming rigs. The core of that promise is the Intel Core Ultra 7258V processor paired with 32GB of LPDDR5X RAM. In day-to-day terms, that means you can have dozens of browser tabs, a couple of heavy Photoshop files, and a streaming game client all running side by side without the usual lag spikes. I tried it out by opening a video call, launching a 3D modeling program, and then firing up a modern title Starfield on low-medium settings while the laptop sat on a regular desk. The frame rates stayed surprisingly steady for a thin machine, hovering around 45 frames per second, which is enough for a fluid experience if you're not chasing ultra-high settings. That brings us to the first practical strength, the integrated Intel Arc graphics. Most people assume you need a dedicated NVIDIA or AMD GPU for decent gaming, but the Arc GPU in this Zenbook is surprisingly competent for its class. It handled titles like Fortnite, Valorant, and even a few newer indie releases at 1080p without choking. The trade-off is evident when you push the settings higher. Games that demand more than 60 frames per second on high textures will start to dip. If your primary gaming sessions revolve around competitive shooters, fast-paced MOBAs, or indie experiences, you'll probably be satisfied. However, if you're looking to max out AAA titles at 4K, you'll feel the limitation quickly and might be better off with a larger machine that houses a dedicated GPU. Heat is another real-world factor that separates a truly portable gaming laptop from a novelty. The Zenbook S14 slim chassis does a respectable job of dispersing heat, thanks to an intelligently designed fan curve that ramps up only when the CPU or GPU hits sustained loads. In my tests, after an hour of continuous gameplay, the chassis temperature settled around 85 F, 29 C, which is warm to the touch but not uncomfortable. The fan noise, however, becomes noticeable once you push past 70% load. It produces a low-frequency whine that you'll definitely hear if you're trying to focus on a narrative-driven game or a video call. That's the practical weakness. The fan isn't whisper quiet, and the acoustic profile becomes a distraction in quiet environments like libraries or late-night sessions. The display is one of the most compelling reasons to consider this model. A 14-inch 3K OLED touchscreen with a 2880x1800 resolution and a 120 Hz refresh rate feels like a mini cinema. Colors are vivid, blacks are truly deep, and the touch capability adds a layer of versatility for creative work or browsing. For gamers, the high refresh rate translates into smoother motion, especially noticeable in fast shooters. The downside is battery life. The same 3-cell lithium-ion pack that advertises up to 27 hours in light usage drops dramatically when you enable the 120 Hz panel and the Arc GPU simultaneously. In a realistic mixed-use scenario, some work, a short gaming stint, the battery gave me about 4 hours before I needed to plug in. If you're counting on all-day unplugged gaming, you'll want to keep the charger handy. Portability is where the Zenbook truly earns its S designation. At just under 3 pounds and a thickness that slides comfortably into a standard backpack, it's the kind of laptop you can lug between coffee shops, college lectures, or a weekend trip without feeling like you're carrying a brick. The backlit keyboard, while not a mechanical masterpiece, offers a decent travel distance and a satisfying click that feels appropriate for long typing sessions. The key layout is a bit cramped compared to a 15-inch gaming notebook, but the overall feel is solid enough that you won't develop fatigue after a marathon gaming night. Now, who should actually buy this machine? If you're a student or a professional who needs a capable workstation for design, programming, or data analysis, and you also dabble in gaming a few evenings a week, the Zenbook S14 hits a sweet spot. Its combination of high-resolution OLED, strong CPU performance, and competent integrated graphics means you can edit 4K video, run virtual machines, and still unwind with a competitive shooter without swapping laptops. The added Copilot plus AI features can also streamline repetitive tasks, which is a nice productivity boost for power users. On the flip side, you should skip this model if